Guys, stop apologizing for being proud of yourself. Sometimes people that talk to me, they'll be like, oh my God, they'll be like, I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm just talking about myself. I'm like, hey man, listen, it's okay to believe in yourself around me, buddy. Okay? You're giving me hope. When good shit happens to people, I get hopeful. Cause that's the positive about being selfish.
Welcome to FredTalk, where if you're not learning, hopefully you're laughing.
Welcome to FredTalk. I am your host, Rivoli. This is a podcast about life. You know, I get into people's personal lives, about their relationships, how they built their life philosophy, and today's guest fucking knocks it out of the park. There's a lot of gems in this one, all right? Today we have on Chris Rivoli. He's a local comedian out here in Raleigh. I want to say attracted to Chris because that sounds like I'm romantically like into him. He is a hot dude though. He's a good looking guy. But he's just a positive dude. He's a nice guy. He's a guy you want to be around. He makes you feel welcome. And we talk about that. How was Chris like that his entire life? Yes. How? Why? We talk about getting cheated on and what Chris learned about himself during the, one or two times he got cheated on, the one or two relationships, which is great stuff. We also talk about doing difficult things to gain confidence. Also letting go of things. Like sometimes you just got to do a hobby or something, whatever, for like 2 years. And once it's no longer serving you, letting that go. We talk about setting boundaries. And then we talk about what, obviously, you got to ask the question, what do you think about the most? Listener, what do you think about the most? I ask most of my podcast guests, and I say most because sometimes I forget to ask that question because that's just the kind of guy I am. But I got that because I saw a quote that said, you get what you think about the most. I drooled a little bit there. You get what you think about the most. So listener, what do you think about the most? Guys, subscribe to FredTalk. Follow me on Instagram. Follow my other podcast with my co-host, Greg Perlman, World Local News. And if the free weekly episodes aren't enough, and you're like, man, I want to hear this Freddie dude more, sign up to my Patreon. $5 a month gets you extra content. I do some episodes with my mom. We got 4 episodes up there right now. We talk more family and relationship stuff. So if you're into, dissecting family drama and how to handle it, also relationship scenarios and all that stuff, I highly recommend you sign up to the Patreon. It's patreon.com/FreddyValoy. And guys, without any more holdup, hey, I wore this shirt for this podcast. It has the Italian flag on it, and it says not Italian but supportive because I love Italians. I rock with you motherfuckers, right? Without any further Giuseppe, here is Chris Rivoli. Yay! All right, so you're taking a break from weed, and it's Delta 8, obviously. It's like, we wouldn't be smoking the illegal stuff.
Right. Very true. It's funny. It actually is Delta 8 too. What happened? So here's what happened, man. I normally, just like when I was in high school, whatever, I was on and off smoking weed. And then Delta 8 came out, and my friend explained it to me completely wrong. I was like, there's this new Delta 8 kick. What is it? And he was like, all right, so this is CBD and this is weed. He was like, this is Delta 8.
Yeah.
It's just stronger CBD.
Yeah.
And I've had CBD pens where I go through the whole thing in 2 days and felt nothing.
Yep.
So I was like, this is going to be amazing because I'll feel a little bit then. So I bought it and I went to play disc golf because I'm a little bit of a dork, which is also okay. I own it. Yeah. Disc golf's great. Yeah. This was in September, and I went by myself and I ripped this pen. Okay, so here's what happened. All right, this is going to be a little bit longer than I thought.
No, you're good.
All right.
Paint a picture for us.
So I bought it, and the lady goes, no one has ever asked me this ever in my life. She goes, in the store, do you want to smoke it in here to make sure it works? And I was like, that's a really weird question. So I was just like, no. So I drove away. And then now I'm in the parking lot of the disc golf place in Raleigh, not too far from here. So I'm ripping it and I'm not seeing any smoke. So then I was like, oh, this lady knows her job. I should have just smoked it inside.
Yeah.
So I can get a refund. So now I'm ripping it. And then it all comes in.
Yeah.
So now I'm coughing in my car like I'm in high school. So anyways, long story short, started playing disc golf, and dude, I'm not kidding. I got to like the third hole and I picked up all of my discs and I walked back to my car. I was like, dude, I cannot do this right now.
I love your bit on that shit because I think you had started that bit on Delta 8 before I got onto Delta 8, and enough people were like, no, it really like it hits you, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was like CBD as well. Then same thing. I smoked it. I was like, oh, this shit is really, it hits you.
Oh, it hits you. And I've never taken the edibles. I've heard this exact same thing with the edibles. Like people just underestimate it. So they take like a couple and they're like, dude, what it really does if you've never taken it, it's just, I feel like I could also be wrong. I'm not Joe Rogan. I feel like with weed, you go way up and then like an hour and a half later you go down. Delta 8's it just way longer.
Yeah.
It's almost like with Coke, it's like it's a big punch and Adderall spaced out. It's like the Adderall of weed. Of weed.
Yeah,
it's just spaced out way longer, which for me I don't like because then it's just like, oh, this is still happening.
Yeah. You want to feel it right away, just like weed, and then you could like coast or like take a break or whatever.
And that's why like I know people who's taken like shrooms and acid and stuff, and I always have like the same mindset. I'm like, well, how long is that? And they're like 12, 13 hours. And I'm like, I don't think I can do that.
Mushrooms never last that long for me. It's like 4 hours hard. It's like
really?
6 for the full thing. Like,
see, 4 I think is manageable. I think once you start 6, 7, when you're pushing 6, 7, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. Why are you taking a break from weed?
Because you know what I realized? And this is why, like, I think no matter what type of time you have, if it's a good trip or a bad trip, it's like a positive. Because what I realized from it, it's not that I had like a really, really bad time, but what I realized from it was like, dude, I've been high a decent amount of times and it's never a big deal. But then it hit me in that moment. I was just like, I feel like I was always in denial. Like I would get high and I'd be like, no, this is fine. But like in the back of my head, I was like, I don't really care to do this. And then it finally hit me. I was just like, I just don't care to do this anymore.
Yeah. They say weed's not addicting, but it kind of is. Like it's like you, or at least a compulsion. Like you just, and then after a while, if you're smoking all the time, you don't get like the funny giggly high that you used to get. It's like this weird, like maintenance, just fog that you're in.
Yes.
Yeah. So initially I was like, I'm going to take like a tolerance break. And now I'm like, do I need to go back like that? Like, I don't know. I put on some weight over the past few years too. So like now I was like, I got to change something. So I quit drinking and weed indefinitely. Already lost like 12 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm like consistent. I'm fucking feeling good. It's weird because like now I'm just addicted to like going to the gym again and like working out, hitting the sauna, stretching.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are you think you're going to completely stop drinking or you're taking a break?
No, I'll get back, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not gay, you know?
That's true. Yeah, but you're not drinking. You went to college. You're not going to drink like you're in college.
No, I don't drink like that. But I was drinking at Mike's and shit, which I normally don't do.
Yeah.
I'll do it sometimes, but I'll probably do, I don't know. I'll probably do like a weekend every few weeks because I've been on that and on that train. And I like that. I don't think I'll go back to doing any substances during the week or anything like that.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way because I still drink, but like I think my days of like in college, like I used to drink Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. I think those days are done. But like I can still do like a Friday, Saturday. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It's just not like, I don't know. For me, the way I look at it, and I'm not saying I'm right, everyone's different. For the way I look at it is like if I'm gonna get like real drunk now, there has to be like a bachelor party or a wedding, like those to like, that makes complete sense. Like this is we've been waiting all year for this. Let's do it. But like now I'm 26, which is not old, but you get what I'm saying. It's just like, now I'm like, oh, it's just a normal Friday night. Like, and you want me to take tequila shots?
As long as like during the hangover, I'm like, it was worth feeling like this. I'm usually cool, but it sucks when the night was shitty or wasn't good enough to justify the hangover or the post-party depression a couple days later. Cause it's not even, the hangover is not even painful. It's like the couple days after, like if I drink on a Saturday, it's like that Monday and Tuesday, I'm just like, just down. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and also I feel like you and I are similar. It's I think there's a trend with people who have, I don't know if you're like obsessive, but I would assume because like you work very hard at stand up and you work very hard at your podcast. So I'm sure there's some obsessiveness with you, but I've noticed it with me too, where it's like, I feel like the reason why I shy away from drinking because the way my brain works is it's like, are we doing this or not?
Yep.
And that with me, and what I've learned is there's a lot of people though that aren't like that. Like there's people who can just like be in the middle about a lot of things, which sometimes I wish I could do that. But for me, it's like, dude, are we doing this or are we not doing this? Like, it's hard for me to stay in the middle, and I kind of stay in the back of my head about that to at least try to be in the middle about some things.
I like what you said that we're the same, because I do agree. I think we're both like, especially like likable dudes. We're generally like, we're not like shit, not, I don't want to say shitty, but like we're likable dudes. We're pretty inviting. Have you always been like that?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't even know if you know this about me. Oh, you probably did, because I used to do it on stage. But I have OCD.
Oh, I like for real OCD,
but like the
right?
for real OCD.
Yeah.
So, but it changes. So like the first thing, I just do things all. So like the first thing I ever did was skateboarding.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And it was like so like 24/7, just like 25. Like I barely had friends. It was just like I did this all the time. And then it like switched to other things. But dude, it's crazy, man. We could get like super into it, but yeah, it's like long story short, you just start to feel weird if you're not doing the thing. It's like an addiction, but with not like a drug, with like a physical thing. It's really weird.
Yeah, I was like that with wrestling. I was like waking up because I was like, I'm not OCD, but I was obsessed where there were times where I'm like, if I felt like my competition was working out, and if I wasn't working out, they were getting the step on me. So I would like get up at 4 a.m, go on runs. I would work out 2-3 times a day and just be like, yeah, like just obsessed with it. And now that thing is comedy. And now that I've taken a break from weed and all that, I'm like, oh shit, like now that energy is just being focused on this, which is much better. Do you like doing stand up? What's your favorite way to do stand up? A couple drinks in you, sober, like?
Yeah, so if we're looking like best case scenario, like I'm hosting a weekend at a club, what I like to do is Friday shows, I like to just do them sober, and then Saturday also do it sober, and then Saturday late show I like to drink like 2 beers. So nothing crazy, but it's like, because by then it's like all the reps are in. So then it's just like, let me just do this, because then I think it helps. It's like you're still doing your set, but in a different, like, you're not drunk, but like I do notice a big difference. If I drink like 2 beers and go on stage and or sober, I think it's a big difference for sure.
How so?
Because it's just, I think, and you don't realize it immediately, but for me, it's like once you get like halfway through, you're just way more loose.
And
which doesn't necessarily mean you're doing better though, but just loose in the sense of like, I feel like you're just more comfortable with yourself, especially because you've already done the set 3 times.
Yep.
So like, you're like, all right, I'm confident enough to do this, even if it's not doing well. And then you're just more loose. But then I think they appreciate that.
Yeah, I like that philosophy. Like sometimes going on stage high for me is good. It works out a different thing, but for the most part, dead sober is like where I think I do my best work. I feel like I'm just like super present, super tapped in. I almost use like a drink or two as like a weird little, like, this is a different type of workout. Like it works a different part of the brain. 2 drinks is like max for me. If I try to do, I don't, have you ever gone on stage drunk?
I was just going to say there's been 3 occasions, not on a show. I did 3, I think a couple open mics and like one, I think it was like a bar show where a lot of people weren't there. Mm-hmm. But I was like not hammered, but like 100% like, oh, I'm drunk.
Yeah.
And it felt so weird.
Yeah.
I thought it felt really weird.
It feels gross.
Yeah.
I slur a little bit. I'm just, when I get off stage, I'm like, oh, that wasn't.
I felt like if it was like a friend invited me to like a birthday party and you're like, dude, it's 2 p.m. Why are you drunk? And you're just like, no one else is drunk, even though like it's a bar, but I don't know.
It's a baby shower. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's a baby shower. Like we're at church. Yeah. It's like, yeah. It's like, well, because it's like, even though they're not paying you at the time, it's like they still came to see something. Mm-hmm. And I felt like in that moment, even though there's like 15 people there, I'm like, oh, well, they still wanted to see something. And I'm just like, and the other day, and there's just like, this is weird.
Have people ever questioned your niceness? Like been like, I have people tell me, I didn't like you when I first met you. I thought you were fake. Like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Cause they think you're up to something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny. You said it to me. You said, I forget the exact wording, but you were like, yeah, dude, when I first met you, I thought you were going to be like mad, like Italian.
Yeah.
You were like, I thought you were going to come off as like Rocky Balboa's son. And then you're like, now you're just like this other, you're like, no, you're just a nice Italian.
You're a different type of Italian than I'm used to. Growing up in New York, it was a lot of, hey, fucking those guys.
And
like,
they all want to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight or dance.
That's why my dad left New York, dude. My dad was like, everyone here just thinks they're a tough guy.
They think they're like made men.
And
like,
and then like, even if like, dude, there's so many Italians that have like no ties to the mob, and they're like, no, dude, my uncle's in the 80s, his friend is like, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but yeah, just a bunch of things. Yeah, I come off as pretty nice, and I don't feel like I have like a plan in the back of my head for it. It's just like, I don't know. I wasn't like bullied, but I think where it comes from is it's just like, I know what it's like to feel like shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know you. Why? And if I don't know you, why would I make you feel like shit?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And also like, what's the goal? Like, not even in stand-up, but to use stand-up as an example, it's like, if you get off stage and I'm just like, oh, that new bit sucked. It's like, what is the point of all of that? Well,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's your plan with it? Or like, if you have a buddy and he's awkward around girls and you're like, you make him know that he doesn't have game when he hits on women. It's like, yeah, but what was your plan to say that?
Yep.
Are you actually trying to help him? Or, cause you know what it really is? What it really stems down to is, if I have a friend who doesn't, I'm just using women as an example. Like, if I have a friend who like doesn't know how to talk to women and I let him know that he doesn't know how to talk to women, what that really means is I am self-conscious because I don't know how to talk to women.
Dude, and also that's a cock blocky move. And for a dude, I think past the age of like, I don't even know, but it's young. Like it's a fucked up move. Like I've had dudes like that. I've like we're in like 22, 24, and I'm like, oh, why would you do that? Why like
right?
I don't know. Hold on. Nice person, always been like that. Yeah, it just comes off natural. Like it's not.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's it just comes off natural. When I was depressed, I was questioning my own thing because I was like, I went through like when I turned about 30-ish, I went through the phase of like, who am I kind of stuff. And I was like, why am I so nice? Like I was like, what am I up to? Like,
yeah.
And then now that I'm not depressed anymore, I'm like, oh no, that's just me. And my mom told me, she's like, you've always been like that. You always like included people just like, I don't know. I just give people, it's like, you ever see the movie Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer?
I probably have. It sounds very familiar.
White lady goes into the inner city.
Yeah.
She's at the beginning of her first class. She's like, you all start with A's. She was like, and it's up to you to keep that A. And then as your grades come in or whatever, that's how it gets knocked down. I was like, oh, I like that. So for me, everybody starts at an A, and I even let people fuck up. If people are just like honest, like that's typically, I don't know. I like that. So I like, even if someone's kind of like mean, I like mean as long as it's funny and honest.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't like when it's that weird passive aggressive mean girl shit where they're like, they say shit, but they don't mean it. Shit like that.
I'm also, I don't know about you. I'm very good at noticing, like if you're messing with me, I'm very good and quick to notice if this is you genuinely being mean because you're messing with me, or if there's an undertone of you're trying to make me feel a certain way, and then you're disguising it as a joke.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I just did my last Dolo cast on that, where like people that do exactly what you said. They mean what they're saying, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just joking."
I saw that. Yeah, it's really
like,
good.
Yeah, it's like you're not fucking
you
joking.
Killed that.
You're just a bitch. Like,
yeah. So to go off of that, what I'm realizing now, it took me a long time to realize this. I don't know if you've had the same thing, but it took me a while to realize like, oh, dude, I just had it and I think I lost it. But around the idea of nice. Oh, so it's hard for me. Okay, so if you're nice, there's nothing. Obviously, everyone wants to be nice, and most people are nice. I do genuinely think that, but it's hard to be nice. But at the same time, what I've learned is when you're nice for long periods of time, people start to take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, it's like a child testing the boundaries.
Yes.
Like they're gonna do shit to go like, is this okay? Is this okay? Yeah, I'm nice, but I'm very quick to set boundaries.
And I've noticed a trend in my life. It's like every 3 to 4 months, I don't even want to do this, but I have to. It's like, oh, now you're taking advantage of me.
Yeah.
So if you're nice, you just have to keep that in the back here because people will always try to take advantage of it. If they know, because like I do this thing where like, we do stand up. There's going to be comedy examples.
No, that's fine. Just do that.
Sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, don't relate it all to comedy, but I'm like, we have the same brain.
Yeah.
But like, so if someone, for some reason, like if you know that, for example, you have 15 and someone keeps saying like, yeah, you could just do 5. You could just do 5. For a while, I'll just go, okay. And I don't complain. I'm never going to complain. It's like, okay, it's stage time. I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
But then it's like there becomes a point where it's like, look, I'm not trying to be mean, but I somehow need you to realize that I can do more than this. I'm worth more than this.
Yeah.
And I work very hard I need you to understand that I do more than this.
Are you good at setting boundaries with people? Like,
I think I'm getting better at it. I used to literally not understand how to do it. So what would happen was that people would just walk all over me.
damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a bit because I was always, and I think it goes back to the OCD thing because like OCD is very, very complex because for some people it's just like, oh, I have to tap on things an even amount of time. And for me, it's not that. For me, it's like for example, if I tell you like, hey man, could you just not do that? My brain will be like, oh, you're a Hitler. Like just the worst person ever. Like if I make you feel bad about yourself at all, my brain will convince me like, why did you said it so rudely? You could have said it better. You're just a mean person. And it's like, I realize it's not true. I realize it's OCD, but the feeling though, you have to like fight it off.
That is valid because I look at it like a muscle. Like you literally have to work at setting boundaries, and then sometimes you fuck up. So you'll have to have the mindset to like apologize if you did go too far and shit like that. And and that dance can be a little tough, but you get better at it. And there's a point where you get like it like feels good. Like
to apologize or
to set boundaries.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you just start knowing yourself more and all that, and it's a freaking great feeling.
Oh yeah, boundaries are great. Also, just like boundaries with yourself too, like knowing when to like take breaks from things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to drive yourself in the mud with like everything you're doing. With like I can tell when I'm overworking myself. Like, can you?
I'm just now starting to get better at that. What are your tells?
Dude, my big thing I'm just starting to realize is now actually I forgot the name of it. I read this book though. It was talking about like how important sleep is.
Oh, yes.
Sleep is a big thing because there's a lot of people on YouTube. There's a lot of motherfuckers that are like, you got to work off 2 hours of sleep. But then there's also people who are like, well, I have a PhD and you should probably get 7.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, for the benefit of your life.
In like to 2010 to 2015 era, there's that whole like no sleep.
Yeah.
And I was always like, no. And not knowing the science, I was just like, no, that shit don't even make sense. I'm an easy sleeper. I don't have trouble sleeping. But like, I knew that was just, that's not right. Like,
yeah. Cause I think everyone's different too. But like for me, I was always the type of person, look, I can go a day where I get like 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep. But after that, I have to go to bed early. And there's no way. But it's just crazy how like humans are so different. Because I know, I mean, I don't know if they still do, but I knew people back in the day, like especially in college, like people are just getting like 3-4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, and it's just like, dude, I was never that person. Ever. Just multiple days, 5 hours of sleep, and like getting a bunch of things done. I was never that person.
No, yeah. Now I'm getting better at like taking a rest. And like I used to be able to like, oh, you're being lazy. You're not chasing after your dream. And I'm like, no, like rest is a part of training. It's a part of like getting better. So sleep or just like having a day where you don't do much. It's not like the same schedule and all that. It makes me sad for the world when like that people question niceness like that. And I understand why they do it, but it is kind of like a sad thing. Like,
well, you know what I think happens? I think everyone's nice, and then something, I don't want to say traumatic, but something severely negative happens to everyone. And then everyone from then on in life has a complete different way of handling it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that's why I'm not nice anymore. And then they go off this like complete other path of like, that's the thing too. It's not even necessarily being a dick, but just like now you're different. Like you were nice. And I feel like that's most people.
Yeah. That's sad when you see someone's light get dimmed and you're like, you can tell, like, someone you can't, even if it's like an acquaintance, like what you see it with comedians sometimes where you're like, I'm like, oh man, there's been a shift with this person or whatever. Actually with our scene, I'm seeing more of the opposite where when I came in, it was like negative. A lot more negative.
Dude, I heard back in the day, it was crazy.
Dude, it's so weird, man. It's like people, that was the weird culture in comedy where people were just like, meh.
That's true. Because it's not even our scene too. That's just how it was. That's how comedy was in general. Like, and I think I don't think I missed it, but I remember when I started, that was happening, but you could tell it was on the way out. Because I remember like my first couple months, I would go on stage and do you remember like back in the, like 3-4 years ago, like if you had a bad set, sometimes people's next set would just be them talking about you bombing. That's and like people listening, if you're a local comic and you're listening to this and you're new and you're like, no, well, because if that happened today, there'd be a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't complain. I never complained about things like that. But like, I remember when I first started, it didn't happen often, but there was like 2-3 sets where I would bomb. And then the next guy that went up, it was just like, what were you thinking?
Was it me? Because I'm that guy, but I do it like in a fun way.
No, even if you did, it's fine. But it's just, no, it definitely wasn't you to me. It was someone else. Yeah. But it's all good.
Yeah. If I bomb, you feel free to use it if like to charge, because it's like, for me, I look at it as like, I don't do it to people that I don't really know or whatever. Actually, I take that back because I did it to one dude. He went to shake my hand and I went, woo. And I like took the hand away. And the first thing I said on the mic, I was like, I don't want any to get that bombing. I don't want to get any of that bombing on me. And the crowd laughed.
That's good.
It's a way to acknowledge it. Like, cause it's so weird that like, people like we're so used to like this, like we want everything perfect. So like a lot of audience members can't handle a bomb. Like it's weird. You've seen it when they fucking break eye contact with you when you're not doing
look away.
Yeah, they look away and they're just like, fuck. Like,
yeah. You know what's crazy though? It's crazy how like when you first start, and this applies to life, viewers. It's anything you do, whatever it is, fighting, comedy. When you first start, I was just talking about this. When you first start out in comedy, the only thing you're thinking about is, I hope I don't bomb and I hope there's not silence. That was for me at least.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying like, I have an infinite ways to go with this, but now I just got to the point where it's like, I kind of enjoy silence now.
Yes. Oh, that's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be where it's like, if it's quiet, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you'll think of other shit. I in those moments before I got to that point, it was like, I would freeze and be like, oh fuck. Like what am I going to do next? Like,
yeah. Cause when you first start out, you think if they're quiet, they hate you, but that's not the reality. They're quiet. They're just listening.
Yep.
Sometimes sometimes you can have someone will come up to you when you get off stage and they'll be like, you had a great set. And they like, just cause not necessarily you were doing well, but they like just enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can just enjoy you.
They were just like, I like this guy.
Which is also not what you want as a comedian, but that's better than bombing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know, where it's like, look, you weren't bombing. It was just like, I was with you. It was just, I could tell you were trying to figure it out, but yeah, don't get too in your head.
Yeah. I'm at the point now where I'm like, the laughs weren't hard enough. Like they laughed, but it wasn't from here. It wasn't that like, I want to have people fucking hitting the table, shit like that. Well, going back to the negative of, or whatever, one thing that I disagree with like older comedians, and you hear this a lot on podcasts, is like, if you haven't been doing it 10 years, then you're not a real comedian. Or if you're not making a living off of it. For me, if like you're spending a lot of your time doing like you're doing it, you're hitting mics multiple times a week, you're working on your shit, and you're trying to build your audience through your podcast. Like most businesses aren't profitable the first few years. So why can't we do that same type of thinking with comedy? Where if someone's doing it, now I'm not talking about the people that do comedy once a month and call themselves comedians.
Right.
That's different. I'm talking about people that are out there working. They're trying to fucking figure out a podcast, figure out how to use a goddamn mixer and all that shit. And like, you're spending time and you're like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to learn how to fucking do it. To me, that you're a fucking comic. If you're doing it, you're doing it, you know.
I agree. And I forget, it's a very famous quote. I forget who said it. But I love the quote, you are what you repeatedly do.
Oh yeah.
You are what you repeatedly do. And that's kind of like that was kind of like a goal for me with a lot of things. Cause it's like, I never, and this is with anything that I do, I never look at it as like, I want to achieve this. I need to be this. I have to do that. It's more of like, all right, do I enjoy this? Yes. Do I want to get better at it? Yes. Okay. Then just like drown yourself in it.
Yeah.
Cause then you look at your months go by and then you're like, well, I'm literally not doing anything else. So I'm either going to morph into this or I'm not. And also, if you realize you're not, it's also okay too, dude. I used to play basketball. I'm 5'8". I used to work really hard at basketball too, like a surprising amount. And then I got to high school and like it hit me. I was like, oh, okay. Because once I got to high school, I realized like it doesn't matter how hard I work at this. I have a ceiling. Yeah. A blatant ceiling. And it was sad at the time, but then you realize like, oh no, it's okay because now you can go do something else.
Yeah. You've learned things during that time in basketball that can apply to doing other things like the work ethic and all that. Like it's like all of life is just a bunch of literally everything is just an experiment. And the more reps you get, the better you're gonna do at it.
Oh, for sure, dude. You know how comforting it was for, as scary as comedy is. You know how comforting it was for me. Where it was like, oh, this is a thing I can do, and it doesn't matter if I'm not 6'5". It doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all that I don't have a 7-foot wingspan with this thing. It's just like, oh man, that was comforting. But yeah, dude, I used to ball, dude. I made my 8th grade basketball team.
Oh, nice. So you were balling and skating.
Oh yeah, I'm a crazy person. So I was skating. That was my first love. I did that all the way until middle school, and then I played basketball in middle school, and then sort of in high school, and then I was lost in high school, like because I wasn't playing basketball, and I wasn't skating either. I didn't know who I was. Oh, so it was 3 years of just confused, just very confused.
What were your habits like then?
Bad, terrible grades, not doing literally anything. I think, and I always say this, I don't have any proof of this because I never went to a doctor or anything, but I think I had in high school, like sophomore, junior, and like probably part of senior year, I think I had like a very low level of depression that ended up going away. And I'm not saying I had any natural depression. I think I sunk because I would just simply because I was so lost.
Yeah.
So I had the feeling of like not knowing who you are is so sad.
Yep.
And it's just like, I just had to figure it out. This is I actually didn't even know anything. For me, it was like, I didn't do anything. And then my senior year, I started lifting. And then I just became obsessed with lifting.
Yeah.
Lifting, like, that's all I did. I just would go to school and lift. And then that translated into, I started writing stuff down. Those are two big things. Exercise and write stuff down, which is also like everyone says that, but
it works.
That's why everyone says that, because it works.
Yeah.
But some people hate to do that because they don't, because you got to like, when you write stuff down, you're digging into yourself.
Yep, it's uncomfortable.
Do that. It's literally like mentally going to the gym.
Yeah. It seems like everybody needs to. I don't know if they need to, but they go through some type of phase like that. Like you got yours. I feel like you got yours out of the way early in high school. I went through mine in my early 30s, where I'm like, I didn't know who the fuck I was, and it was uncomfortable. I'm like, have I been full of shit my whole life? Like who the fuck? Yeah, that whole thing. What's your dating situation like these days? You have a girlfriend or?
Oh, I'm single, but I am talking to someone.
Oh, nice.
She's really cool. We're trying to figure out. Oh, this is a perfect topic to talk about, and she won't even care that I brought this up because I gave her credit too. I was like, "Yo, you nailed this." So she said, "This is." I want your advice on this because she made a very good point. She goes, I feel like because she was talking about like I do stand up all the time and I have a podcast. But my issue, and I'm not even offended she said this because she called me out and I was like, 1, you're right. 2, I never even thought about it that way until she said it. But she was like, so you have these things and your things are fine. But she was like, you don't want to give up your things. So I'm like, you know how like a hoarder hoards like physical things that they don't need?
Yeah.
I hoard not mental things, but like it's in my head. Like I wake up, I'm like, I have to do stand up tonight. I have to do this podcast. I have to write. So I have these things in my head and I make time for them throughout my day. And it's like, I don't give them up at all. And it's like, I thought that was a good point.
You mean in context of like spending more time with her or something like that? Or
of just, so she made a very good point of like, I think my issue is I think in my head, I convinced myself, if I get into like a serious relationship, I'm no longer going to be able to do my things. But the reality is I still can.
Yes.
And I still can do it the exact same amount of time that I've been doing it.
Yep.
But I think it goes back to like most people are afraid of change.
Yeah.
And it goes into like, well, then I need to fit. Cause now it's like, I've been doing it for so long. It's like clockwork. I just wake up. It's like, I go to here, and then I go to sleep.
Yeah.
But if I get into a relationship, it's like, okay, well now I can still do everything, but I have to rearrange it.
Yeah.
And that freaks me out.
Are you getting better at it or what?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
What's your plan?
Yeah, I got to figure it out because I do like her.
Yeah, yeah.
And here's the thing, I like her. We've gone on dates. We went to Nikki Glazer. I thought that was a great date.
You took her to a comedy show?
Yeah, but it's Nikki Glazer. It's not like, hey, you want to see me?
Yeah.
And no, she did well. And then we went to like a really nice restaurant. So we're dating. We're having a good time. But then it goes into like, well, also, yeah, it's probably like we're still getting to know each other. But I thought when she said that, I was like, that's such a good point of like, I have these things and I don't want to even like think about rearranging. It's fear-based. Most things go back to fear. It's just fear.
I learned this from Aaron Ransom. Like, it's okay to take time to go live life.
Yeah.
Because that's going to, and this is, I guess, selfish in a way, but it helps the comedy. Like, so when you feel like you're in a rut, you're like your laughs are getting stale, this and that, like you can prevent that by going to live life and like spending time with someone, getting in a relationship that helps.
And you know what I've learned too? I'm just starting to realize this. And it doesn't matter what you do. If your hobby's lifting weights, if your hobby's comedy, podcasting, skateboarding, what I'm starting to just now realize, if that's all you're doing, of course you're going to get better at it. But the downside to it is you start to just turn into this robot of you're just like, I wake up, I work out, I go to sleep. I wake up, I skateboard, I go to sleep, I work out, I play basketball. And it's just like, yeah, you're going to get good. But then you turn into this like weird robotic. It's almost like you're not even like a person at that point because you're just doing like, and like, this is something I need to work on. You get too in your head about things where it's like, you're just going through the motions of like, all right, I do this. And it's like, yeah, I think everyone needs to like, make time to live life. Like you said, it's a really good advice. And also things are different now where it's like, maybe in the 80s and 90s, it was just grind. But now it's like, dude, like, yeah, you can work really hard, but then also like there's people that post like a one really good clip on their Instagram that changes their whole life. So it's like with this new media, it's like, do you have to be a robot?
I feel like everybody's different. Not everybody needs to do the 5 sets a night, this and that. As long as you're progressing at a manner that you're comfortable with, I think that's, I feel like that's where you want to be. And you're right. You don't, my fear is like putting stuff out and then like, you only got like 10 minutes and then this thing goes viral and you got nothing to, I was having a podcast with Chris Mara and I was like, I'll be ready to be canceled in like 2 years. Cause then I'll have a really good 45 minutes or like another year or so, where I could like tour and all that stuff. Yes. So yeah, cause these days, depending on what you get, I'm talking about canceled on some like bullshit, not like if I actually did something that deserved to be, or people are like, yo, we ain't fucking with you anymore. So 27-year-old dude, what's your relationship perspective? Like,
of like, what do I see myself doing when I'm like in my like 35?
No,
like my
like
10-year plan.
Like what's the dating scene been like for you? What's your take on the whole thing right now? Because people they're like, dude, dating today is fucking, it's a war out there.
I mean, it's different. It's so different, and it's like a blessing and a curse because it's like dating apps are very annoying, but also they're like it's pretty cool at the same time, and it's just like it's it's weird to navigate. But yeah, it's like, I need to figure it out. Cause it's like, I'd see myself one day being like a dad and having like a wife and kids. Like I want that for myself. I don't want to be the 40-year-old comic that just lives in a 1-bedroom or a studio and just is like, well, stand up makes me happy. And it's just like, there's more to life than that. I think for sure. And even like, even if it's like, oh, well, I didn't, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but even if it cuts a chunk out of like a lot of things I want to do, then it's like, it's fine. Cause it's like, I do think there's more to life for me. That's my opinion, but I think there's more to life than just doing like the one thing. So yeah, I'd like to have like a wife and kids one day, but who knows? Yeah.
You ever got your heart broken?
Yes. Oh man. Doesn't it suck?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's fucking, a couple times. Yeah. It's a terrible feeling. What did you learn about yourself during that time?
Dude. So this is what I learned. So, as you know, I'm very Italian. So I'm extremely dramatic. So what I did was I thought it was the end of the world.
Yes.
Like, and this is another thing I realized, and this is, I feel like we do this naturally, but you have to talk yourself out of it. You have to realize, I think especially because I got cheated on.
Oh,
but also, and this is a problem. I think when people get cheated on, they end up convincing themselves like they're the only one that's ever been cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
And then as time goes on, you realize like, hold up, millions of people have been cheated on. Like it's not a good feeling, but it's like you have to learn how to just, it's okay. Like it is, it's okay. It's okay. And it's like, it's because some people, do you ever meet a dude like this? Like there's such a normal dude and then he gets cheated on and then he like looks at women differently.
Yes.
It's like, dude, that's one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah.
I think. Cause it's like, dude, it's just like, it's just life happening. And it's just like, yeah, maybe she did you wrong. Maybe you did her wrong. But it's like, dude, it's just life happening. You guys were not meant to work out. And it's like, it's okay to just move on. But what happened was this. So, this is also cheated on, but it was also like the first person I ever loved.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. So was this your first time getting cheated on?
Yes.
Oh, that one hurts the most.
By also the first person I ever loved.
Oh God. All right. Tell me about it.
So what happened was, well, I found out it was very dramatic. And then, what I did was my way of handling it was I cut like everybody off. I went full Italian. I was like, trust nobody.
Yeah,
I just became a meme.
They'll be sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah. So I cut everyone off and I went like, no joke. I went like a full year where I literally like by choice just didn't hang out with anybody. And then what I did was I still did stuff. I would work out. I would do this. I would do that. But I would like just solo. Everything was solo. And it was the first month of it. The first 3 months of it was very sad and depressing, but what ended up happening is, well, the point of what I'm trying to make is, being alone is like very powerful.
Yeah.
Because the beginning of it sucks. And that was when I started to realize like who I am, because when you're alone for a year, once I got to like the 6 months period, I was like, all right, well, who am I? And I was like, well, I don't know who I am. So then I started writing things down where I was like, okay, well, if I don't know who I am, what do I think is cool? And I was like, just being as honest as I can.
That's a great question to ask yourself.
And it's also a great starting point of like, you don't have to know yourself. Just write down what you like and then stem off of that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what do I like? I was like, I think Joe Rogan's pretty cool. Even though like someone right now is listening and they're like, oh, of course he said that. But it was like, dude, you're being honest.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, I think Joe Rogan's cool. And then I was like, okay, I think, martial arts is cool. I think this is cool. And then I just started doing those things. So like I don't know if you noticed, I did Muay Thai for like 2 years.
I did know that. Yeah.
And then that was another cool thing too. By the way, if you want to interrupt at any point, just let me know.
No, keep talking. Rant. This is great.
So I did Muay Thai for 2 years, which was good because I learned like this new like skill. It's fighting, self-defense, also great for building confidence.
100%. Yeah.
And then I stopped doing it because I realized, Muay Thai is fun. I love it. And I was paying a lot of money to get like the right training. And I stopped doing it because what I realized is it's fun, but then it hit me one day. Once you get to like 2 years in with anything, you start to realize this. I was like, but yeah, I'm not like a fighter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But can't you just do it like as a workout to like?
Yeah. And so, you know what I felt like? I felt like, I learned this in therapy. You do things, well, you can do them forever if you want. But for me, I think there's certain things you do them until they're no longer serving you.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
And I felt like that is how I felt about Muay Thai. Cause it was like, okay, I learned how to punch. I learned how to kick. I learned how to like somewhat at a basic level defend myself.
Yeah.
And then I just got to a point with it where I was just like, I felt like I got what I needed out of it.
Yeah.
Because then for me and knowing how my brain works, it was like, well, if I don't stop, the next level is going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Because I got to the point where it was like, bro, I was doing like 2 a days.
Yeah.
So I would try, and I was at Wake Tech for 2 years. So I had my class schedule around like, there was a noon class and a 6 p.m. class. So I went to the noon class because I knew people were at work. So if no one showed up, then it was me and Trevor doing a private.
Yeah.
For an hour.
Nice.
Which happened often.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trevor. I love you. And then I would do the 6 p.m. And then after the 6 p.m., we would do like a half hour of sparring. So then it got to the point where I was sparring for like another 7 months and I was like getting ready to like maybe do like a smoker.
Yeah.
And for the people who don't know, a smoker is like, it's a fight, but like it doesn't go on your record or anything. But there's a ref, like you've this pretty much a full fight.
You're fighting. Yeah.
Fighting. And it got to the point where I was just like, I knew in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, but I could do that. But I was like, this isn't, I just didn't feel like that's who I am.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's smart. That's you knowing yourself, knowing your limits, your boundaries and all that. I like that idea of like, you got what you got for it. I think the most important thing too is the confidence. Those 2 years gave you and by the way you walk, I can tell you're a confident dude.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I appreciate that. And it's also like, I hope not. I don't think it comes off as cocky either. Cause there's like a difference between like, I'm confident, but I know this for a fact. I'm only confident because I worked on it. And like, I still don't know what it is to this day. I don't know what it is about martial arts that gives you confidence. Cause it's like, I guess it's just defending. You know how to defend yourself. Yeah. And it's also like, you're just seeing like, if you're just seeing punches fly at you all day, you know what? This is what it is. When you have punches being thrown at you all day, and even though they're not full force, you're blocking them and stuff, and then class is over and you go back to your day, what you realize is, well, whatever hits me for the rest of the day is not going to be as bad as that.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with jujitsu. It's like you're getting strangled for an hour. Yep. So when you're done and you go back to your cubicle, like I'm sure you're going to have things to do at your cubicle, but it's not going to be as bad as that.
I think doing difficult shit is what it boils down to. So like even skateboarding as well. I think skateboarding is great for learning life lessons, because for you to like learn anything in skateboarding, there's a ton of failure that comes before you get a kickflip or before you,
right.
And any kind of trick. Like you have to do it hundreds of times, and that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people, especially with men as they get older. I've noticed they don't want to go outside what they've already, like the thing they've set for themselves.
Right.
And they don't want to try anything new. They're like, I get frustrated. I don't know if I could do more jujitsu. And I'm like, dude, you got to let that go, bro. Like you've never done any kind of combat sport. You can't expect to go in being the fucking man. A lot of those dudes probably been walking around like they're the man, and they don't want to actually put themselves to the test on that.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like just doing difficult shit will help people build confidence. I saw a quote on this thing. It was like, self-esteem comes from esteemable actions. So doing things like making those promises to yourself and then following through are the thing that give you self-esteem and confidence, which I agree with 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
I like, the other great thing about martial arts too, is it teaches you like, you literally can't get better at it unless you not physically, but like mentally surrender.
Yeah.
The way I see it. Cause it's like, you can't go in there being like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or like, I could do it better. It's like the only way you're going to get good at it is if you're like, I am here to learn, and I trust my coaches. I trust everybody, because they're good at noticing it too. Like if you're new and they don't think that like you respect what they're teaching, they can figure it out very quickly.
They'll usually shake that off with a little like, all right, let's throw.
Exactly.
It's a lot of the guys that go in like, yeah, I did UFC for like, a little bit with my buddy's basement, and then they go in and a lot of trainers, they'll like lightly spar with them, but put him like underwater, and you see dudes just go, oh shit. Like, and sometimes they won't come back. And a lot of times people, they'll stick with it. Damn. So you got your heart broken, and I feel like you spent that time.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No. This is a conversation. This is great. You use that time very productively, being by yourself. Did you go to movies by yourself?
That's the one thing. I do a lot of things by myself. That's the one thing I've never done by myself.
Interesting. I've met a few people that like to do things by themselves, and that's the one thing. A lot of times, that's the one thing they haven't done.
You know what I like to do by myself?
What?
Jerk off. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so glad you did that. I thought about it, but I was like, I don't want to fuck up the flow. You doing it. That was great.
No, dude, I like to go to the mall by myself.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's because it's like, you know what it is, man? One day I needed pants really badly. I needed pants. And everyone knows shopping for pants sucks, because you got to you try them on, and if they don't fit right, you got to take them off, and then you have to try another pair on. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm just going to get pants. And this was when also I was not talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. So dude, I went in this mall and I tried on 15 pairs of pants. So at this point, I'm sweating trying to find pants. But then I found 4 pairs of pants that fit me well and they looked decent, and I bought them. And I was walking out of the mall, and I was like, yo, I just did all of that by myself. And it's like a cleanse. And you're also walking, you probably walk, if you go hard at the mall, you could walk 2 miles.
Yeah,
3
you
miles.
get the steps in.
And
real.
it's your brain's just at peace, kind of, in a way. I don't know why. I usually go to the mall by myself. Anytime I'm like annoyed or stressed, I'm like, because you're just like walking.
Yeah, that's a good one. Did you ever get cheated on a second time?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what was the second time getting cheated on look like?
Okay, so here's the good thing about being cheated on. The first time it's bad for anyone. No one is going to ever be, unless you have some type of like Zen like training and you meditate your whole life. Like if you get cheated on your first time, it's gonna be real bad.
Yeah.
The one good thing about getting cheated on is when you get cheated, if you get cheated on again, it still sucks, but you have a base.
Yep.
You have a base of dealing with it.
Yep.
So you're like, it's still bad, but I was like, it's definitely not going to be as bad as the first time.
Yes. Yeah. I think like you said, first one's really bad. Second, after you get cheated on twice, you get your shit together. Or like the third one, I'm just like, oh, that's on her. This ain't even. Yeah. This has nothing to do with me. She's got like you start to pick up on things. You almost I want to say you see it coming, but it's you just the base is just higher.
That's another thing too. We could talk about that. Is now, and I guess this is like a plus from a negative behavior. I'm not like a master at it now, but what I've learned from like I've been cheated on twice. Now you can tell. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it. I think it's a combination of like, if you're a spiritual person, you can like just feel the energy.
Yeah.
And along with like just other like little things, but I'm to the point now, dude, I got cheated on twice. You can just kind of like tell when something's not right.
Yep.
And so the second relationship where I got cheated on, it was like, I didn't know until I 100% knew, but it was like in the back of my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's just like you start to like, you don't think you're getting cheated on, but you're like, something's up.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Something's up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You like you said, you can feel the energy.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's a weird feeling. Whatever. I'll just say it. The second time was with like some other, I didn't like know. What, you've been cheated on?
Oh yeah.
Twice. Was it a random guy?
Twice and.
Or do you not want to say?
No. It wasn't a random guy. They were both study abroads. And then the first girl, she cheated on. It was like a couple times. I was just like, my ego was too big to let the relationship go. It was one of those relationships that showed me the worst parts of myself.
Right.
So I guess I wouldn't rewind it because I got to see like I was being a bitch and I was like, I'm never gonna fucking do that again. But yeah, it was like they were studying abroad and it was that old tale. Yeah.
Mine was like both times I knew them.
Oh yeah.
Those are tough.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't had that.
Those are tough.
What's that like?
It's just like, yeah, it's weird. It's not weird, but it's just like, it's hard to explain because it's like, I'm going to see you around, like, you know, and it's just like.
Did you talk to the dudes? Like, what the fuck?
I didn't talk to them for a long time.
You didn't even ask them like what, like why?
Yeah, well, you know how it is, dude. Especially like when you're in college, like it's just like we were drunk and but it's like there's always that.
I'm trying to think. No, I don't know. I haven't had that. That's a different layer of pain
It's
wrapped
just,
into that.
Well, because all right, so here's my thing. So then it turned into like, I turned into a meme again, and I was like, trust nobody.
The tiger, yeah, with the fucking.
So here's the thing. It goes back to the beginning with this girl I'm talking to now, because I never put this together. So she goes, because she knows about all this.
Yeah.
And she goes, that's why you have all these things. So what I did was I created these things that can't hurt me.
Comedy hurts.
Yeah, but do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
though? Like if I bomb, it's on me.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So these things I have now, it's like, it's just, I'm like juggling these things. And it's just like, I think there is, don't get me wrong, I love comedy. I always knew I was going to do stand-up. But at the same time, I think a little bit of it goes into like, I created these things now.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, well, these things can hurt me, but also like not really.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Which also I think most people do anyways. That's why people play, there's a huge addiction with video games because it's the same concept of like, well, Call of Duty's sick and if I die in Call of Duty, it's just whatever. It's a game. Like that. I think that's a lot of people use it to escape for sure.
Are you having trouble putting yourself out there like romantically and intimately because of that? Or have you?
Probably. Yeah.
Damn,
well, because here's my issue. It's like, and this is a benefit to having older siblings. So like I have a brother who's 10 years older than me and my other brother's 6 years older than me. You've heard the bit 5,000 times. But I think a plus to that is, so for example, like if I was an only child, not saying all only childs are like this, but I know me personally, if I was an only child, I would be like, oh dude, I'm 26. I need to hurry up, you know? But a benefit of having older brothers is I think they kind of reminded me of like how young I am.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like I'm not as rushed as most people, because there's a lot of people who like once they hit 27, they're like, where's my wife? Where's my husband?
Yes.
But like for me, it's like, I feel like I just have a better understanding of like how young 26 is.
Oh, that's good. That's a good. Yeah, I like that.
And don't get me wrong, like I don't have forever, but I like, dude, if I met someone at 30, 31, 32, like I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm also picky too.
And
though.
you're a dude. It's not like you have eggs that you got to worry
I don't
about.
have a biological clock. I don't have eggs, but I do got plates of lasagna at the crib, bro. You see the shirt?
We out here, baby. So we're gonna start wrapping up, bro. You've made my job super easy today. This has been super
Hell
fun.
dude.
Yeah,
I
dude,
love being on people's podcasts, dude.
Yeah,
It's
you're killing
great.
it, dude.
Thanks, man.
One question I like to ask my guest. It came from a quote. I forgot who the quote was. It was like, "You get what you think about the most." So, what do you think about the most?
Oh, you get what you think about the most. You know what I think about the most, dude? Growth.
Nice.
So growth. So I think growth is like, you got to figure out what it is for yourself. Cause for me, like we all have different areas of growth. And for me, well, first of all, set goals for sure. Setting goals is super important. So for me, growth is like, I want to just grow as much as I can. So I want to eat healthy. That's a new one for me, eating healthy.
Same, yeah.
You don't think about that when you're in college. You're just getting by. But like, I want to eat healthier. Almost kind of like, what is it? Body, mind, and spirit, body, mind, soul. That, like things. Yeah. So I want to eat better. I want to work out harder. I want to get in like better shape. Want to get better at comedy. Want to get better at my podcast. But then also just like grow outside of that. If I end up being a boyfriend, be a better boyfriend.
Yeah.
Also, I look at relationships like this too. Like, I'm not saying my relationships are good, but all right, I'm going to rant a little bit. Sorry.
Do it.
I've been in 3 real relationships. The first one, I'm not going to say it's bad, but long story short, the second relationship was better than the first. And the third was better than the second.
Nice. Yeah.
So in terms of growth, I look at it as like 100% without a doubt, my next relationship, we don't have to get married, but it has to be better than all of them.
Yeah, I think it will.
And it will, because it's like you're just growing.
And you're learning shit. You learn shit from each one, it seems like. Yeah.
My, dude, I had a neighbor who, I used to live in a cul-de-sac when I was like a kid. And this guy was like a retired DEA agent. He was like really, really cool though. But his kids were all grown up. So like we became like friends. We would talk a lot. And he said this to me, and it's like, I think it's one of the best quotes ever, is you should look at in terms of growth, don't compare yourself to other people. All right. So Chris Rivoli today, am I better than Chris Rivoli a year ago?
Yeah.
It should always be yes.
I think it's a huge waste of time to compare yourself to other people.
100%.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest waste of times that a lot of people do. Like, it's.
And that's like how I look at my life right now, where it's like, okay, every single year I should be able to look at myself and go, oh, I'm way better than myself last year.
Yeah.
And also in every area of life, not like, oh, well, this one area though I was way better. No, every single area of your life, you should be better than yourself a year later.
I like to look back in a year, and I like when I think, wow, he was a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like that, like he thought he knew shit, he didn't. Like that. That's how I like to look at myself from a year ago. Like, yeah, I feel like when I have that feeling, I'm like, all right, I'm doing a good job.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and we'll close out with this. You grew up in the South your whole life?
So I was born on Long Island, New York, but I only lived there till I was about 5.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been in North Carolina since I was 5.
What was it weird at all being Italian growing up in the
Oh,
South?
dude, it was like, honestly, if you want me to be like truthfully, from like 5 to like 15, it was brutal.
How so?
Because so I learned, I mean, well, this is a positive of being bullied, because now it's like, it's a good thing of being bullied because it wasn't traumatic, but it was like, dude, I used to have like a thick New York accent. If you think I have an accent now, I don't know if I do, but
Not really.
yeah,
but-
I used to have like, especially when I was like 7, 8, 9, like my parents are from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I used to, people, especially like people forget, like North Carolina today is not what North Carolina is in like 2003.
Oh, I can't imagine, bro.
Bro, it was like them seeing me, they were like, what is going on? Like, no, I was the only one in like a 40-mile radius probably.
Did you ever tell anybody that you weren't Italian at any point?
No, but you know what's funny, dude? This is how few Italians are in the South. You know how many people have called me Puerto Rican?
Yo, that's, oh my God.
I've been called everything. I've been called, people have thought I was Puerto Rican. People thought I was Persian. Like all of it. And it's just like, especially like, dude, we have oily skin. So like I'm tan, but like in the summer I get dark.
Yeah.
Dark. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, especially when there's only 40 Italians in the state, people are just like, oh, I thought you were Puerto Rican. And it's just like, I don't get offended. I'm just like, no, I'm Italian.
Yeah.
I'm Italian.
Oh gosh. Was there any like anything that made you feel bad? Any interactions based off the fact that you were Italian in South? Like people were like, yeah, you know, like
No, you know what's cool about Italians, man? It's always just like funny stereotypes.
okay.
Like it's always just like, oh, are your parents in the mob, or just things. Oh, what, you guys just cook all day, and like things like that. I didn't ever feel like it was like mean.
Yeah.
Even sometimes people say I'm a dumb Italian. That's funny, dude. It's like we're all just joking around. Unless I think you're being serious.
Yeah.
Which is like I'm good at figuring it out. But yeah, just like things like that. But yeah, nothing too crazy.
I had a manager, one of the sales jobs I had. He was from New Jersey. I'm not going to say his name, but it's very Italian. Him and I were boys. I think every Italian I've always been super cool with them. But he put me in his office. He goes, bro, I just want you to know. He's like, he called them Anglos, like regular white people. He's like, these Anglos, bro, they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about anybody. They don't even care about their own family members.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to watch out. They'll fucking stab you in the back the first chance they get.
yeah.
I was like, and I thought it was funny when he was telling me, but as I've gotten older, it's been about 10 years since I had that conversation. I'm like, oh, he was a little bit spot on. He's like, they're cold. There's no emotion with them.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was like, oh shit. Like this dude,
Dude,
like,
Italians love the fuck out of people, dude.
oh yeah, dude.
That's
So
it.
inviting.
Yeah, so inviting. They embrace people.
Oh, I love it.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Dude, you're the fucking man.
Dude, you're the man. Thank you, man.
dude,
This was
hell yeah.
awesome. This was great.
Positivity.
Positivity.
Chris, where can people find you?
Oh, dude, you can find me, my podcast, Rants with Riv, on Spotify and iTunes. But I always say this, listen to this first, then mine, dude. So go Spotify and iTunes, Rants with Riv, Instagram at Chris Rivoli. I don't have any like big shows coming up, so I don't need to plug that.
Yeah, December's light. I don't have anything.
December's
coming up
always
either.
like, I mean, it's like we're just doing mics.
Yeah.
Which is all good.
Guys, subscribe, rate, review, share my content, follow my man Chris Rivoli, Instagram, and then Rants with Riv, his podcast. That's it for us.
Thank you so much. Peace out.
Bye.